Yeah, I can hear you. Thank you for accepting my invitation and accepting to be on my show.
It's my pleasure completely.
So I thought to introduce you to my audience.
Mhm.
So can you please introduce yourself to my audience?
So yeah, my name is Gaurav and I'm a data scientist. I'm working in the field of tech for around 5 years now. I have experience in oil and gas companies to gaming companies and currently working in a startup at the same position. And it's been like 5 years now since when I left my college and it's going great. Yeah, tell me more about you.
You're from India,
Yes,
North India.
yes, North India. I'm from Haryana actually.
Okay, myself, I'm from Hyderabad, Telangana, South India,
Hmm.
and I did my master's in software engineering, and I started in 2019. I completed my master's, and
Okay.
I have websites. I have technical and non-technical website. I have a technical and non-technical YouTube channels. I have a technical and non-technical podcast, and I have two mobile apps, Android apps, and which is technical and non-technical. So I do interviews of tech people
Hmm.
in one channel, and on other channel I do non-technical interviews. Like I
Hmm.
did more than 500 interviews in last 6 months all
Okay.
around the world. People from different professions,
Hmm.
from different parts of the world have
Hmm.
participated on my show, including police officers, army officers,
Hmm.
almost every profession, nutritionists, doctors, everybody are there. So I have gone through your profile, then it looked very interesting.
Hmm.
So I thought to tell about you and about your profile to my whatever the audience that I have.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, that sounds great. Interviewing 500 people is not an easy task, I would say, and definitely you must have learned a lot of things from their experiences. So let's see how does the ball gets rolling here.
Yeah. So you're the first data scientist who are in my show.
Hmm.
So uh, when we'll talk about you first. So you said you have completed your education 5 years back.
Yeah, almost 5 years. It's I guess more 4.5 or something. I did my engineering in electrical.
Okay.
Yeah, and from there I went to oil and gas company where I worked as electrical engineer, working around the same type of data related to all electrical. Then I was promoted to project controls where I managed the management area. Again, there was data, and after some time, when I actually thought that now it's time to utilize this experience in a startup, then I switched to the gaming company with the name of Zupi, and I've joined that startup.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's
So
like.
what?
Mhm.
Yeah, go on.
So yeah, it's was like migrating from the old gold, which was oil, to the new gold, that is data. That's actually.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So your job was to manage the data when you was working for oil and gas company.
Yes. So basically, what we were doing was we were actually taking contracts across the globe for different power plants and refineries, and then we had lots of data to deal with. We had choice to how to optimize our cost, how to optimize our budget, how to make the deadlines meet, and all with the help of data. If we could introduce something interesting there, it was given an open challenge to us to go and just make things happen. So there, the projects were all about deadlines, meeting the schedule, and meeting the quality on time. And what I'm into now, it's completely different environment. So it's been amazing, I would say.
So what are you now?
I'm data scientist only.
Okay.
So now it's
So
actually a complete environment, different environment. Earlier it was oil and gas. Now it's a gaming company. So things really change. And it was basically an MNC where I was earlier. And now this one is a startup.
okay.
Yeah.
So the same job or the work is different?
No, the work rotates around data only. So you have
Okay.
chunks of data. You have different business problems that you have to solve with that data. And thus data actually helps you to determine that how your users are behaving or how what that story data is trying to tell you. Sometimes it's not very direct. Sometimes it's take lots of hours. Sometimes you have to build your own hypothesis, and the hypothesis do not go as you have planned, and you have to take a U-turn and again go into the data again. and analyze if you missed some point, or you may have to introduce some variation in your platform and see if that helped or not. So lots of tests go around that data, and that's all it happens.
Which means you manage data.
Yes, you can say manage, play around data, extract information out of data, or any, like, it's in simple words, I would say yes, we play with data all the time.
Okay, so have you done any certification, specific certification on this?
I started doing some certifications, but they were actually of no use, honestly. And that's I actually tell everyone, even the students that I mentor sometimes for data science, that you can do certifications, but they're only useful if you apply whatever you have learned into some real life projects, and if you have solved some really good problems in your business company. So it was more of a self-study program, I would say.
Okay, so I'm also preparing for AWS solution architect
Mhm.
uh, position.
Mhm.
So what is this data science exactly means?
So data science, let's say you run various channels and various interviews that you do. So at YouTube's storage area, there would be lots of data that would be accumulated, that which video got how many views, right?
Okay, okay,
And on which video you got the most dislikes or most likes, right?
yeah, yeah,
So, and the types of comments that you actually receive.
okay,
So let's say you have received lots of comments on one website, on one of your videos, and you
okay,
want to actually extract information that what these comments are all about. So what you
okay,
can do is you can download all the comments data, work around with it on Python, remove the extra words. For example, this video was superb. Let's say this was a sample comment that you received. So as a data scientist, what I'll do is I'll remove all the extra part that this video was, remove everything and just keep that keyword superb. That would
okay,
actually, yeah, so that would actually describe the sentiment of people on your video, right?
yeah,
And similarly, well, you might receive different comments. So overall, you can do a sentiment analysis, like how people react on your videos,
okay,
and accordingly, you can plan your next video. That okay, your audience didn't like this flavor. Maybe your audience didn't like too much of tech, like in detail tech, or what your audience wanted was you to talk on some different topic. So
okay.
whatever data of your audience you'll receive, that would actually help you to plan the next video, like what your interest audience wants actually.
What are
And
the tools that you use?
the tools that we use first is Python, the programming
Okay,
language. So it's the easiest language, I would say, and one of the best to implement data science projects. It helps in cleaning the data, and it has lots and lots of libraries, like millions of libraries, and lots of like automation tasks have been in pipeline these days, where you can actually have to simply put your data inside, and the result will come automatically. Apart from that, we use some visualization tools as well. For example, Tableau, Power BI. So that's basically the graph and bar charts that we actually see to see the performances, right? Can you hear me?
yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah. So for example, let's say we upload this video tomorrow, and throughout the week you observe the trend. And on Monday, let's say it gained 100 views, and on Wednesday you'll observe that it gained 1,000 views, and accordingly this Gaussian chart will be formed in a bell-shaped curve, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So in that, would you be interested to determine like what was that point that on this particular middays, let's say Wednesday, you had the maximum number of views on that video.
Yeah.
So how would you like visualize it? You'll draw some charts or graphs around it to have a look and see
Okay.
the trends. And when you see that data, you might also be interested like, oh, what made people watch it? So was it a holiday, or what were people searching around the globe during that time when your video got so many views? Where was your ranking at the time? So all the data related to it will come into consideration, so that you can actually get to know how your customers are behaving or your viewers are behaving, how this video is reaching to more customers. Yeah.
So by seeing the reviews and the comments, we can understand that this is what the the point that I said is working and I have to do more work on it.
Yeah. So what happens is like YouTube works on very interesting algorithm, which is called recommendation system.
Yeah.
So suppose you and I both are very tech savvy people and we like to watch new and new updates. For
Yeah.
example, Apple launches iPhone tomorrow, a newer
Correct.
version. So what it'll do is it'll segment a particular group of people into one group that these types of that to these types of people, the most latest tech videos has to be shown.
Okay.
So YouTube will automatically start recommending you all those tech videos based on your history or data, historical data, whatever you have searched in the past, or on which type of videos you have spent the most time, or like
Okay.
in which video did you give the like, and on which video did you give the dislike. So
Okay.
based on that, and it'll it'll create a recommendation system based on your profile. So
Yeah.
user profiling is done at YouTube's backend where they actually study sample of similar users all the time.
Okay.
So at the moment, as we speak, YouTube's team might be looking into your personal data or
Okay.
related to YouTube, your every history, and it will be designing an algorithm that to what video should be shown to sign in the next click.
Okay.
And so that's the power of data actually. That's how at what micro level it is utilized.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So you deal with security?
No, I don't deal with security.
You just manage data, you understand,
Mhm.
you
So
put where it should be and where it not should be.
So what we do is like we pull the data for
Okay.
the type of audience we are working for, depending on the different project that we have. So we take out the data of like whatever target audience is and work around the business case study that is given to us, whatever is the requirement. For example, if I'm working for some e-commerce company, let's say Flipkart, I'm working for Flipkart. So what I'll do is I'll take out the data for one particular product, like let's say I would say some mobile has come up in the market. So I'll take out the data and see that what type of users are actually using this or wanting to buy this type of product, and what users are actually using for discount. If like someone is a very frequent user of my website and he orders only when there's some good discount, so I'll simply just drop him some percentage of discount so that he's get attracted to it and buys it immediately. And that would actually uh, help me in scaling my growth, because what happens is if someone gets a discount that he wants, he's going to refer some other people as well.
Yeah.
And the moment he tells other people out there, his friend's going to come and buy that product again. So anyway,
Okay.
even if I'm reducing my profit for one customer, but by selling the same product to four more customers, I'm equalizing my profit amount.
So you target the customers.
Yes. So like it totally depends on the situation, the problem statement that we are assigned from
Okay.
the company or the from the client, whatever to whom with whom we are dealing.
So what are the projects that you deal with all these years?
So all these years, like there were some oil and gas projects, so in which we were given task to design our system very efficiently, where we use smart use of machine learning to detect like where we could efficiently put our distribution boards. For example, the electricity that is coming to our house, it is coming from this power station, right?
Yeah.
And we have this central distribution systems that guide the electricity to go to which room and which floor, right?
Okay. Okay.
Up till which power it can actually sustain.
Okay.
So through machine learning, we were actually able to predict that where should we ideally place all those distribution boards, given that we save on the length of the cable, the distribution is uniform across all the areas, and rest of the factors are like kept in the acceptable limits. So that kind of thing. And when I was working with some e-commerce platform, we were able to specifically target our customers to increase our revenue. And all those like these are like various case studies. And even as of we talk now, even I'm not allowed to disclose many of them because that's client privilege thing.
So you are into data.
Mhm.
So you know about cloud.
Yes, we know about cloud because all our data is on cloud itself.
Okay. So as per your observation, what future is going to be? how the data is going to be managed?
So everything is as we say, like everything is on cloud right now, and so what I expect in the future is like to have supercomputers that will take place. Cloud will replace everything, and more competitors to come into the market in the field of data. Right now, AWS is the market leader, but Google is actually progressing and speeding it up at a very good speed. So definitely there will be like crowd is going to rule at the end of the day, and at a later stage we may have like bigger storage platforms. Right now, what the amount of data and the speed at which we are storing it right now, the cloud platforms are definitely going to expand, and that's the next future.
Do you have data center in your state?
So we are actually like we don't have our own data centers. We have like every other MNC, we have taken services from AWS, Google Cloud Platform, and Microsoft Azure. So we pay them on monthly charges by utilizing their space.
Do you have any of these data centers in your state or city?
So one we have in Mumbai. AW has its data center in Mumbai. I'm not sure about if Google or Microsoft has their data center anywhere in the country, but Amazon does have one in Mumbai, and they're coming up with one more data center. I read it somewhere a few days back. So that will be soon out there. The
One
pipeline
more
is already.
is one more is coming in Hyderabad in my city.
Oh, okay.
AWS.
Oh, that's great.
We can see in the global infrastructure
Okay,
map.
that's actually great. Okay.
I think in North India also there is a state. Uh,
Okay, I'm not sure actually.
two
I'm
two are two are coming to India.
okay. That's actually a great thing.
So so okay. So have you did any projects in your college? This technical projects related to data?
No, no, no. I never did any project in college. I would honestly tell you, because college at that time was completely fun, and we never took things seriously in college. So even the projects that were my final project, they were not done very sincerely by me. Though that were also again around data only. So that the project, if I have to tell you, it was more of the data uh, in that contingency data analysis that we actually did. So there we prepared a model which could actually predict that which power grid or equipment is going to fail in the near future, given the history of all the equipments and how their life was and what quality or what brand they were associated with.
Okay. So so you are electronics student.
Mhm. Electrical and electronics, both.
Electrical and electronics. Okay. And now you came into the tech.
Yeah. So it's like for me, it was more of one and the same thing because there we had some technical words. Here we technical as in electrical related technical words. Here we have more of like new technology driven words. But overall, the data was same, the algorithms remained the same, the processes were same, and the approaches were almost same. The at the end of the day, you have to save your client's cost on the project.
So any project that drawn your attention?
There were like quite many. For example, if I say oil and gas, they are strictly based on deadlines. You miss one deadline, you lose tons of dollars. So we had that project in which we were assigned a task to deliver 300 drawings in 28 days. And to prepare and check and review and release one drawing, it used to take us like, as per documents, it was mentioned like around 8 to 10 hours would be the minimum that it would actually take for someone to prepare a drawing, and then it would go into review cycle, checking cycle, client approval, and all that thing. So that was one of the most important project because we were able to deliver it within time, and we were saved from the fine that could have been imposed on us because of the time limitation. So everybody thought that we might not be able to make it on time, but we actually did it within 28 days.
What was the deadline?
Deadline was to actually, so what was happening was that the project deadline was fluctuating due to some client in, I would say, discipline. Client had required something else, and the same partner of that client said something else, and they said that okay, what's done is done. We want all these drawings to be issued within 1 month. Otherwise, you'll lose the contract and you'll have to pay the heavy penalty. So we optimized our team and we worked like anything, and we were able to manage everything within fine limits without any compromise in quality. And yeah, it was like well recognized event in my previous organization.
What are your positives in making things done?
It's more of like the trust that you have within your team. That's the key point, because if you know that you can rely on any of your team member for any of the task, and if that trust is like very strong, you know that he'll deliver it for sure and he won't back out at any moment, and he'll stay honest to you. Like instead of making excuses that he is ill or anything, he'll put all his efforts. So that trust is everything within a team to make any task succeed.
So you deal with different projects. So what were your experiences?
So my experiences were like mix. I have worked with senior aged people whose average, like a group in which the average age of was around 35. So in that group, there was certain level of maturity, certain actions predefined that you have to follow this approach, and it has its own pros and cons. So there, when you're working with some elder age group, there is like a bit of hesitation in them that they don't want to switch to new technology, and they don't actually trust it because for years they have been exposed to the technologies been that have actually become old. And when you're working with new generation, so they are a bit careless, I would say, when you're working with like an age group of 25 to 30. So they tend to miss out on some critical areas and may not understand the criticality of one or other issue. So you definitely miss that maturity that you have learned from your seniors. So that's a drawback of like working with the younger age. But given the passion of the younger age, they always tend to outweigh because they have so much of energy and lots of passion for their work that actually drives the way through.
So what are the general mistakes that a new data science
Mhm.
people do?
So the mistake that data science people usually do is they tend to focus more on the theory part when they're actually studying data science in the beginning. So though they do not actually focus more towards how this particular thing that they're learning will solve the problem in the longer run. So when someone starts studying data science, they tend to miss out on projects to practice, and when they go for job interviews or like what I would say when they're applying for new company, they face disappointment because of the lack of experience of projects. So what companies are actually looking for is the projects that you have done by yourself and what obstacles they face during those projects. What candidates tend to infer is that they don't have work experience. But what companies expect is the project experience. So these are two basic different things, and that's the biggest mistake that I won't say it's specific to data science, but other tech fields also. That the biggest mistake that we all make is not focusing on the projects. We focus on just rectification actually.
So is it important to have the same work experience in order to get the job as a data scientist?
See, it doesn't really matter that what kind of company you are in. If you have access to data, just pick it up, try solving a great problem that could actually impact and bring out results, and make it your project, and that would make you more passionate about pursuing this field. So it's the curiosity, like for example, you upload this video and you start looking at the data. So you might have very two, five, six curiosity questions like who were my most loyal subscribers, who were repeatedly coming and watching my videos, who are the ones who actually left. So these are all curiosity questions, and the reason people develop or lose interest in data science, that they do not think that what it's going to impact. They only think that it's going to land them a job. But as a YouTuber, if I have to see that how the data is behaving, that would actually like bring some curiosity from inside, and I would be very more concentrated in finding that out, that how my data played and what's the story my data is trying to tell.
How much time it takes to understand data science?
Totally depends on your passion and motivation. Someone can finish it in 1 month, someone can take 6 months, someone with no knowledge of Python can even take 7, 8 months. So it totally depends, and up to which level you want to reach. For a basic, someone to reach some basic level, I guess 2 to 3 months are enough.
Is it important to learn Python to understand data
Yes.
science?
So yeah, one of the programming languages must is either R or it's Python. Because for example, if I give you 5 GB file of Excel, and you want to analyze or look at some results, so your Microsoft Excel will start hanging the moment you try to open it. But if
Okay.
you try to extract information out of it using Python, it will just a matter of seconds for you, and you can draw any information the way you want using Python.
So what about the data loss?
Data loss is something related to outliers, that sometimes when you are actually dealing with data, what happens is let's say you ask your audience to fill out a form, and there will be 90% people who will be filling the form decently, but there will be a chance that 5 to 10% will write some stupid things, and that won't make sense to you, right?
Yeah.
So that how you can actually define your data loss. The data that is actually of no use and won't provide any important information and had some very weird values which are totally out of your expectation is the data loss.
You also mentioned machine learning.
Mhm.
What is the connection between data science and machine learning?
So when we talk of data science is basically a subject named data science related to data, and one chapter of it is machine learning. So like for example, it's like machine learning, it's basically used for if you have some sort of tabular data. And for example, like the whatever tabular data that you have in Excel sheet or wherever we actually see the tabular data, machine learning is there. And some, for example, if you're working with your image data set, for example, face mask detection,
Okay.
that's a common project these days, or face detection algorithm that came out in these smartphones. For that, you need to process image data, right?
Yeah.
So that becomes part of deep learning,
Okay.
or you can say artificial intelligence.
Okay.
And for example, when you're working with the text data, all those written articles dealing with the comments, what's written in comments, or uh, what like for example, like pick book of any subject I have no idea of, I want to extract information that what this book is all about. Wherever you have to deal with text data, then it is all about NLP, natural
Okay.
language processing. So our Alexa works on NLP, and all these Google commands, Siri, all these and the chatbots that we have, they all work on NLP thing. So these are three different chapters. One is machine learning, which is on tabular data. Second one is deep learning, which deals all with your image data, sound data, video data, whatever you have. The third, text data, we have NLP for that.
So there is a service in AWS also related to data.
Mhm.
What is it about?
So what AWS offers is that one place solution for everything. That AWS says that okay, you come to us, we'll give you storage where you can store your data. We'll provide you platform to run pre-processing on your data. You can run Python script on our platform. You can pre-process your data in our Jupyter notebook, and you want to deploy it, you can deploy it at our place only. We'll provide the platform for you to deploy it. So they all in one service, and they also offer their own algorithms of machine learning. For example, right now we use the machine learning algorithms that have been quite successfully proven to be great for years. So Amazon has also developed its own machine algorithms, which they claim that are better than some of the existing algorithms in the market, to which they ask that you pay a certain amount of cost and you're free to use these algorithms and try and see for yourself if the result is coming out good or not.
So you mentioned that most of your projects are
Mhm.
into cloud,
Yeah.
AWS and
Mhm.
Microsoft Azure and Google.
Mhm.
So when comes to AWS, what are the services that you used?
From the tech side, I really don't know. I guess all of their services are on tech only. From the data point, I can tell you we are using the S3 buckets, we are using their glaciers. So we are using their Jupyter notebooks, we are using their Docker platform. So whatever things that seem feasible for any idle business, we are using all those services as of now.
Okay. At last, do you have anything to say to the world who is watching and listening to you from anywhere on this planet who are into data science and who are
Mhm.
going to be into data science or who wants to be in data science?
So the only message that I give to every aspiring data scientist is like make sure you have a mentor to guide you into the right direction because you might get lost while learning Python. You might get too far. Like if you want to learn Python, there's like limited space till where you have to learn. You don't have to exceed those boundaries. You have to learn algorithms in some certain process. So always choose a right mentor for your data science journey and always focus on projects. These are the two most important advices that I always give to everyone.
So, what are the things that works to become a great data scientist?
So yeah, it's like be serious with your profession, be passionate about it, be curious about what is the story inside the data, what can you extract, and be hungry for it always. If you'll stay hungry, you'll just crave for more again and again, keep learning.
Do you personally provide any services?
Yeah, I do. I give like tutoring services to new students who are actually willing to join data science field. So I give batch classes as well. I give one-on-one sessions as well. I also prepare for them interviews. I refer them to companies, help them resume building. So like from entering to working great in the field, I support them in all the possible manner.
Do you have any website or anywhere?
No, I don't have any website anywhere. I just have meme pages because that's what keep people excited and they can feel the pain that I actually go through every day. And that's how I actually try to make it fun so that all the data scientists face some frustration and through memes we are able to actually make fun out of it. So I do
Yeah,
have plans for website in the coming time, but not for now.
but how if people who are listening to you and watching you now, how if they want to approach you?
For them, I can like put some page out there or maybe plan some website. They can contact me on LinkedIn. I have a page on LinkedIn with the same name, Data Scientist Hub, where I keep adding lots and lots of data scientists who are actually coming. They ping me directly on LinkedIn. They ping me directly on Instagram. So I can leave my number there, my mail ID there. I have my mail ID also. I'll just put the link in my account. It's data dscientist0@gmail.com.
I'll put your links in the description of this video. People who finds our video will can get you.
Sure, sure, sure. That would be great. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Thank you for giving me your valuable time and giving answers for a lot of my questions.
It was completely my pleasure, and thank you so much for inviting me to your platform. And I would really like to go through your channel and see what all experiences I can learn from those videos that you have uploaded.
So, at last, have you seen any videos of mine on YouTube?
I just started just before this interaction, actually, to be honest. I have the link open right now.
The tech one or the non-tech one?
That was, I think, the non-tech one. Someone from USA, writer was there, I think.
Okay. So, if you see in the tech one, you will see Microsoft Azure Solution Architects and um South African, New Zealand, different people, 18 years, 20 years
Mhm,
experienced
mhm,
engineers and architects are there,
mhm,
in which
mhm.
our video is going to be.
Okay, okay, sure. I'll definitely have a look and share to my peers as well.
So as a observer, as a data science
Mhm.
uh, s- uh, 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 person, what do you say about me talking with different country people about different technologies, and what will be the use
So
for
it's
me?
actually, yeah, so for you, it's actually a very great thing to learn because you'll get to taste everyone's what's in everyone's plate. You'll taste every sweet dish and they'll tell you what not to do. And maybe when you become some entrepreneur, you will have definitely a list of lessons learned that you have learned from their experiences. And someday when the channel goes bigger, it will actually help some aspiring data scientists or aspiring Azure cloud practitioners to go and actually see what's the career ahead after becoming whatever they want to after 5 years ahead. So their experience narration would actually help the aspiring students to learn in advance and make them sure that what decision they are going to take.
Okay, so you're saying that it will be useful for me, at the same time it will be useful for the world too.
Exactly.
Awesome. So thank you so much, Gaurav, for giving me your time and telling me about a lot of important things. So I
Mhm.
hope you will continue doing this and keep inspiring people like this, and keep doing what you love.
Sure, that would be my complete pleasure actually.
Yeah. Can I put this video and audio clip on my YouTube channel, social media, internet, podcast, website, everywhere with your permission?
Wherever you want. I really don't have any problem with that.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you again.
Thank you so much. Have a good
Bye.
day. Yeah.
Bye.